Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today I'm going to do some possible solutions for the problem of the loose Joy-Con on the Nintendo Switch. So I already done a video on annoying faults on the Nintendo Switch, and this was fault number 3. And I thought it was just happening to my Switch. I didn't realise it was so widespread. So this video is going to do some possible solutions from the comments from the last video, because a lot of people had different ideas on how to fix it. Now, what a loose Joy-Con is basically when you can remove it without pressing the button. Normally you have to depress this button up here and you slide the Joy-Con up. But when it starts to wear, you can just move it up and down without depressing the button. And in worst case scenario, you could see what could happen. And it would just come straight out like this. Now obviously if that was to happen and you were playing over a hard surface, then you could end up damaging your Switch. Now the reason this happens is because when you're taking the Joy-Cons off, you're either not pressing this down fully, so you're just pressing it a tiny bit and then yanking it up too quick, or you're putting on the Joy-Con strap the wrong way around. So in this video I'm going to list various different solutions that may work for you. So I'm going to do each of the solutions that people were commenting about and saying that works for them, and we'll see how well it works. Now the best solution, but it's also the most expensive solution, is just to buy new Joy-Cons, because this issue is not on the actual Switch itself, it's purely on the Joy-Cons. So if you have a look here, take off the faulty one, put on the good one, take off the faulty one, put on another good one, and now you can see that these are not coming off. In this solution I'm going to be using a little bit of tape just at the bottom of the Nintendo Switch here, and hopefully that's going to create friction between here and the bottom of the Joy-Con, because then when we put it on I'm hoping it's going to be a lot tighter down here, so it's going to be less likely just to come off. Now you're going to have to play around with the tape that you have, because all tape's going to be of different thicknesses. In this particular one I'm going to be using this tape here because it's very strong. It's got like fibre reinforcement, so it's very hard to tear it. And then I'm going to be using just a little bit of black electrician's tape just over that to give it a little bit more thickness, and mainly as well because I want it to blend in, because I don't want it to look like my Switch is all taped together. So hopefully with a bit of black tape on there, your eye's not going to be drawn to it. Right, okay, so I've put the tape on that side now. You can see that I haven't covered anything of any importance. Now it's still coming off pretty easy, so I'm going to put another layer of black tape over that again. Right, so that's got one layer of the cloth tape and 2 layers of the black electrical tape. Oh, that feels much better now. Oh, there's a lot of resistance there now. Obviously, you still don't have to press the button to release it, because we haven't touched anything with the catch up here. You're purely creating more resistance. Right, I'm going to do the same on the other side now, and then we'll try the drop test. Okay, so we've put a bit of tape now on both sides, and it has stuck really, really well. So we've got a little bit of tape down the bottom here, and as you can see, it doesn't really take away from the Switch at all. And another bit of tape here. So now I'm going to do the drop test again to see if they come out. I can already tell that it's much more solid when they go on. Yeah, so you can see already that they're not wiggling. So this is also going to fix the loose Joy-Con issue, because some people moan that their Joy-Con feels a bit loose. Anyway, that's on now. So here we go. You can see now that that is not coming off. There you go. That started to come off there, but that took a lot of shaking. Do you know what? I am really happy with that fix. Obviously it still hasn't fixed the actual catch up here, because you don't need to press that to put it in, but you need a lot more force now to get that off. So before, on the last video, I was just able to flick them off, and now it's going to take a lot of flicking to get that off. So that really is a very simple and a very good fix. Now I don't know how long it's going to last, but I would say it would last quite a while, because there's not really much wear that's going to happen here, because there's only the very bottom bit. If you were to put it up the top, then I would say it's going to wear quite quick. But down at the bottom, there's not going to be a huge amount of wear. And even if you do have to do it once a week or once every month, it's not really much of a hardship. I think that that is probably quite a good fix. Another solution is to 3D print your own little JoyCon lock here. So as you can see, this one's got a chip out of it, and that's what's causing the problem with the loose JoyCon. Now, people have already put information out there on how to print your own JoyCon lock via a 3D printer. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got a 3D printer and I haven't got access to a 3D printer. But if you've got access to one at school, or you know someone with a 3D printer, then it's a very small part to do, so it's not going to cost much. Now, if you have a look here, I was told about this on my last video from this YouTuber here. So watch this video here, DIY JoyCon lock repair, fix your broken JoyCon with 3D printing. And this is the YouTuber here. And he's put all the files and everything in here for you to download. So if you have a look down here, you can see here, download a 3D model. And then once you do that, you can just have the information there. And this is basically the problem with it. So if you have a look here, this is the JoyCon lock. And that does look like the lock, because I've had this one apart many times looking at this. And basically what happens is, obviously it depends on the side you're doing. It will be a mirror image, so the same part won't do both sides. It will be a mirror image. One will be one side, one will be the other side. And what happens is, when you're putting the JoyCon on, it's nice because the rails, these little rails here at the side, hit up against this and push over this ramp nicely. But then when it comes to the other side, it should stop dead against this. But what happens is, when it gets chipped, like you've seen on my one, it gets chipped here, then the metal rails just simply just bounce over this and push this down. So it's kind of like having a ramp on both sides because it's chipped. But if you've got access to a 3D printer, it's really easy to take these apart. Now, hopefully in the future, somebody will start making these and selling them on eBay and Amazon, because there's going to be quite a lot of demand for them. And if they made a version in metal, it would be absolutely fantastic, because then you know it's going to last much longer and you shouldn't have the same fault again. But up until then, if you have access to a 3D printer, at least you can print your own one. This next solution involves a case. So this is a one-piece rubberized case, and basically normally this would be really inconvenient to use because you have to keep taking it out of the case to do the Joy-Cons. Also, it don't fit into the Nintendo Switch dock. But if you've got loose Joy-Cons, well, this case is a complete winner, because all you've got to do is throw it all in there together, and now it can't do anything. The Joy-Cons can't go anywhere because they're all molded in this one piece case together. So you still have access to everything you need to have access to. So you've got your kickstand there, you've got your game cards up here, headphone jack, you've got your power and volume buttons, you can charge it here, you've got your sensor cutout here. So they're all here, but it's fine in handheld mode. In fact, it's nice in handheld mode because you've got these nice molded grips to hold on to, so it feels a bit more secure when you're holding it. The problem is that every time you want to play it in docked mode, you're going to have to take it out of the cover. And also, if you want to play it in tabletop mode, you're going to have to take it out of the cover as well. But it only takes a few seconds. All you've got to do is basically get your fingers in there and just slide it out like so. So it's not exactly much of a hardship, like that. So that is another solution for loose Joy-Cons. Get yourself a one-piece grip. I got this from Amazon in the UK via Amazon Prime, and it was just over £10 UK. Now in this solution, what we're going to try and do is we're going to use a very small needle, and we're just going to try to put a dot of super glue on the actual chip to try and fill it up, and I might have to go over it 2 or 3 times to build it up. So basically, if you were to have a look at here at this very crude drawing, so this is the JoyCon lock here, and what's happening is this chip's taken out of this side here, so the metal rail's just coming up and bouncing off it. This is like a side view off it, so this is the nice slope here. This side should be squared off, so it should be here, but it's chipped away. So again, when the rail's coming along, it's hitting it down and it's forcing this down. So my idea is to square this off by filling it with super glue. So, well, I say it's my idea, it's not my idea. It was a comment on my previous video, and the guy said it's worked. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm not going to try and take apart the actual Joy-Con, because I appreciate a lot of you out there don't want to take it apart. So I'm going to be just using some super glue, and I'm just going to be putting a dot of it onto the end of a needle. So it's going to be, you're going to barely be able to see it, and I'm just going to tap it on the actual chip itself, and hopefully it will fill it up. Now, what I will say is anything in this video, you could void your warranty. So for example, if you're going to start putting glue on this, then you can't then send this into Nintendo and say it's not working. So if you believe that the chip is down to a bad design on Nintendo's behalf, because you think that maybe it should be metal, then try to get them to fix it for you. Because as soon as you start messing around with glue or taking this apart, you've voided your warranty, in which case then you're responsible for the fix. But if you've only just bought this or it's less than a year old, then see if you can get it repaired free of charge. Now, I have already tried this solution here. This is like a liquid plastic where basically, it's quite clever. What you do is you just put your dot there and you can see now it's liquid. It won't go off. It will stay like that forever until I put the UV light on it. And now when I put the UV light on it, what happens is when you hold it there for 3 to 8 seconds, it then goes hard. The problem is it doesn't go rock hard. So it's kind of like plastic welding. So I thought this would be ideal for this solution. And although it did work, it didn't last very long because I believe it's not going to be as hard as super glue. So now if you feel that there, you can see I can't pick that off now. So I really thought this product was going to work, but unfortunately I didn't have any success with it. Well, I'm going to be using Gorilla Glue because it's good stuff. Now, if you're unsure how to use super glue, make sure you read up about it, read all the instructions. As well as that, it might be wise to wear gloves if you've never used it before because it can be very strong stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a tiny little bit on here because I don't want to put this nozzle on the JoyCon lock here because the nozzle's too big and it's just going to glue everything together and then it's not going to work at all. So I just want to put a small amount onto this little plastic container here and then I'm going to use a needle. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap the needle in it like so. And then I'm going to find the chip and I'm just going to ever so gently put this in the actual chip. I'm just going to leave that for a few seconds, let it go a little bit hard, and then I'm going to put another little layer on. So as you can see, every time I put a bit of the glue on, I make sure that the button can still be depressed because it's so easy when you don't take it apart, when you use this way, to get the glue to stick to either the black rail here or the blue cover. Okay, so I've got quite a few layers of super glue on that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it go fully hard. So I'm not going to touch this now for about 20 minutes or so, just to make sure that it's fully cured. Right, so I've left it about 15 or 20 minutes now. Now we're going to put it back on and see how it performs on the drop test again. So this Joy-Con on the right hand side, we're still using the tape that we had on earlier. So now let's see how it goes on. Okay, it certainly goes on okay. I'm just going to give it a bit of pressure. I don't want to go crazy because I don't think that glue is going to last that long when it keeps hitting against that metal. But I'm certainly putting a bit of pressure on it there and it's not doing anything. Let's do a drop test. Yeah, that's certainly holding okay. Yeah, there you go. So the blue one stayed on. The red one's come off, but the blue one has stayed on. Yeah. So that does actually seem to work okay. Let me just make sure when I take it off. Yeah. Do you know what I would do? If you're going to go down the glue route, I would also, I know it's more work, but I would also press the button when you put the Joy-Con on as well. And that way you're keeping that glue well away from that metal rail on the inside. So definitely obviously do it on the way out, but also on the way in again. But you know what? That has actually worked okay. So it seems to perform a tiny bit better than the tape. I mean, the tape is actually really good and really easy, but the glue method does seem to work. How long it's going to last, I don't know, but if you take care of it, obviously if I just start whacking that off now and whacking it on, that super glue is just going to wear off against that metal rail. But if you take your time and just take a bit more care, then I think that's quite a solution. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. There you go, so you can see it's much better than it was than at the beginning of the video. But it's never going to be ideal. The best solution here is prevention is better than the cure. So prevent it from happening to begin with. If you can prevent it from happening in the first place, then obviously that's going to be the best solution, by making sure you keep pressing the button in fully when you take off the Joy-Cons, and make sure you don't put those Joy-Con straps on the wrong way. But if it does happen to you and it's getting worse and worse and it's getting to the stage where they're just flying off like you've seen in my previous video, then by doing some pretty simple things you can actually make them last a lot longer. So now I don't feel the need to go out and buy new Joy-Cons, because I know now that even if my children are playing with this and they're being rough with it, I know that the switch isn't going to go flying out on the floor and get damaged. If you have any better ideas, because remember, most of these ideas here were given by you guys watching my previous video on 3 annoying faults of the Nintendo Switch. So there's probably people out there that have much better solutions to this, and if that's the case, add it to the comments down below and then you'll help everybody out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and please subscribe for more how-to videos. Take care, bye now.